We're on, are we? Good on you. Thanks for joining us. It's a little bit sombre today in Australia and New Zealand, of course, with our viewers across the ditch at the land of the long white sheep. Anzac Day in Australia, and for those in the Northern Hemisphere and beyond who don't know, all of our people through Holland, which is the lower part of the Netherlands, and right throughout the British Isles and Northern Europe, and up to our dear friends in Romania. The thing about it is, just can hear a bit of feedback here, but that's all right. Anzac Day is a tremendous bonding between Australia and New Zealand through war. It's the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, and we, on this day, the 25th of April, every year we stand and we honour the people who have paid the supreme sacrifice at war, which fighting never ever solves anything. But also those people who have been just magnificent in the resurrection of our great country here and in New Zealand. And we honour each and every one of you, and it's just fantastic at the football or the shrine or down at the memorial at Parkdale, where I was brought up in the 50s and 60s, to see young children observing the respect, and that's what it's all about. I thought long and hard about saying this evening, but had a long period down the beach this afternoon thinking of my wonderful father, who tragically passed away at 60 years of age because of his silly smoking of cigarettes and a diet and no exercise. But my father fought the Japs in Bougainville, and he became friends with one of the guys who he fought with, and that was just amazing. There was a beautiful film, I think his name is Colin Firth, and it was one of the great performances in a film called The Railway Man or The Railway Men. It's about him going back to the Burma area where the railway is and confronting the bloke in the concentration camp that absolutely belittled him, and they became very good friends. It's a true story, and that's what it all is. It's forgive and forget. And we honour everybody, and we realise the reasons why they fought to the death. Just on a sombre note, when my old man came back from Bougainville, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, when the Japs bombed Darwin, my father, you're not going to believe this, particularly when you know my history, you know where he was stationed? Fanny Bay. My goodness gracious me. Let's get on with it. For those people viewing just like the fishing mafia and Hanno down the Latrobe Valley, and Wes is up there at the Hauqua River on Sheepyard Flat. I was down the Mordialloc Creek this afternoon, and the red-legged shrimp are just starting to show signs of the water temperature just dropping a bit, but the soldier crabs, which are blue, and of course they've got 6 legs. If they've got 8 legs, you're holding the spider. And also the little coral crab. The bream in there are feeding like this. It's like the last piscatorial supper. I saw a bloke with an estuary perch who he put it back, but the fisheries here in Victoria put some estuary perch in. Just magnificent. And a rock flathead. In this day and age, you used to be able to call them black flathead, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. No, I am. It was a black flathead, which is a rock flathead caught on a piece of whitebait. So, why did I go down there? To remember my father. And remember when my life was less complicated, when I roamed the shores of Port Phillip Bay and Mordialloc Creek and Mordialloc Pier. And that's why I say to you and your kids and all the grandparents out there and the parents, get your kids into fishing and you're in business. Our first segment that Bob has dusted off and magnificently cut into digital. And that reminds me of a medical examination I had during the week, but that's for another time. The Ngara River. I think it is northwest of Osaka, which is the second largest city in the Japan Islands. And early in my career, I went across there with a guy called John Dunphy from Shimano, Australia, and he introduced me to, I think it was Toyo Shimano, who became famous for all of the bicycles that he actually designed that were used by some of the greats in cycling at the Olympic Games. Not that drug cheat fella, but the greats. I mean, to say the greats of cycling. And I said to Dump, I'd love to go fishing in Japan, and we've got a show for you tonight. And it's just no coincidence because it's Anzac Day. It's just a coincidence to say war is not forever. Unfortunately, it is for those people who have lost their life. But we've formed a magnificent bond with the Japanese, and their magnificent forward thinking and innovation has resulted in some of the best fishing tackle. You'll see on the Ngara River, and down the track a few weeks if I live long enough, you'll see that we were taking cormorant fishing, and that's another story. But the Ngara River is fed by some spring creeks. They use 15-foot carbon or boron or Kevlar poles, and they lose about 200 Japanese anglers during the year to electrical storms. And hang on a minute. Jennifer, I've told you not to ring me. I'm on air. Okay, I'll pick up all right, I'll pick up a pint of milk. Thank you very, very much. I'm in trouble now. So, Bob's just about ready to go. And the Ngara River, the spring creeks. Rexy. Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, 862-391. $20 each way on broken rubber at the Mildura Trots. Thank you very much, mate. I'll just absolutely fantastic. Right, we're live to air. We're going to the Ngara River tributaries. Here I am, and without being too risque, the bloke next to me. Have a look at the size of his pole.
Folks, don't I get around. I'm knee-deep in a tributary of the famous Ngara River in central Japan. And with me, two Shimano people who work for the Grand Shimano Corporation, of course, world famous for their fantastic fishing tackle. Mr. Hutomi and Mr. Kishimoto are experts in their field. Konnichiwa, gentlemen.
Konnichiwa.
Not bad, eh, folks? I've been practicing for about 8 years for that, and we got through it. Thank your mother for the rabbits. Quite serious. The tradition of this fishing is quite unique. Unlike some countries that have sold or thrown tradition down the drain, these people through the generations have passed on to the next people this marvellous celebration of what is IU fishing. The IU, or sweetfish, is a relatively small fish, distantly related to the trout and salmon family. And it's one of the most popular species found in Japan. These fish will only live in very clean environments, so their presence is a good indicator of water quality. And there's certainly nothing wrong with the water here. This is the famous Ngara River, which cuts through the rugged mountains of central Japan. It's not far from the city of Gifu, and about 6 hours' drive northeast of Osaka. The Ngara River is cool and crystal clear. It reminded me of a New Zealand trout stream, or one of the bigger rivers in the snowy mountains back home. And they do catch trout here at certain times of the year. But it's IU we've come to catch this time, not trout. IU only live for a couple of years. As they grow, they migrate downriver into the sea, then run back upstream in summer to spawn and die, just like the larger Pacific salmon. Catching IU is a real art form, and the Japanese take it very seriously. It's also extremely popular, as you can see by the crowds gathered along the river. And this was a weekday. I wonder what it's like on a weekend, eh, folks? IU fishermen don't use reels of any kind. Instead, they fish with a Ned Kelly-style pole that can be anything up to 10 metres long, with the line attached directly to its very light tip. These poles used to be made from cane, and they must have weighed a tonne. The modern versions are constructed of high-quality graphite, and a 10-metre model can weigh as little as 300 grams. However, they're not cheap. A good IU pole will set you back as much as 5,000 Australian dollars. But the strangest thing of all about IU fishing is the way these fish are actually caught. IU are vegetarians by nature. They live by grazing on a type of short brown moss which grows on submerged rocks, and it's pretty tricky to put that stuff on a hook. However, they're also an extremely territorial animal. When one IU finds a good patch of moss, he guards it fiercely, driving off all other comers by attacking them and snapping at their bellies and flanks with an oversized mouth. The IU fishermen make use of this aggression in a very unusual way. They start their fishing day by buying a live IU from a local bait shop, which gets its supply from commercial net fishermen. This IU is kept alive in a special fiberglass container and taken down to the river. Next, the IU fisherman rigs his live IU up as a kind of teaser or lure. A small ring is placed through the fish's nose and a keeper hook is inserted near the anal fin. Behind this, a tiny barbless treble hook hangs free on a short length of very light line. When this trussed-up IU is introduced into the water, it's attacked by any wild IU in the area. Eventually, these attacking fish are snagged or jagged on the trailing treble hook. At this point, the watchful IU angler gently lifts his pole to set the hook and swings the two struggling IU gracefully through the air and straight into his waiting landing net. It's poetry in motion to watch, and a great deal of importance is placed on getting the lift and swing just right. It's regarded as very poor form to swipe and swat at the airborne fish with your net, or to take 2 or 3 goes to get it into the mesh. Once it's been securely landed, the newly caught IU becomes the bait for the next fish. The livelier the teaser fish, the better your fishing results. Fishing in this way, a competent IU specialist would expect to catch 15, 20, or even 30 of these pretty little fish a day. And with their delicious sweet flesh, they make a great meal. Somehow, though, I get the feeling that it's the art and grace of the whole thing, not to mention the beautiful surroundings, which really gets the people in and helps to explain the immense popularity of IU fishing. It's pretty busy, isn't it, folks? They like trout opening about 20 years ago in Australia. Well, it's been marvellous. Our 2 representatives from Shimano have not let us down. And what have we got here, folks? Can we have a little bit of a look here at what we've caught? These are quite unique, aren't they? Oh, very nice. Very nice. Congratulations, and Dom Oregano. Welcome. That's very nice, isn't it? I got it right, folks. It meant, thank your mother for the rabbits. Are you fishing? Yibbida yibbida. The way to go.
And there you go. Negara River, an IU, member of the salmonid family. Salmonid's like a salmon or a trout, you know, those sort of things that I don't understand. I just catch them. There's a few people here. I'll go through them in a minute. But that's about 1,800 kilometres northwest of Osaka. And when we went there, I don't know, 99 or something like that, when we were international, the Japanese were just wonderful. And the bloke, we landed at the Osaka airport, and if you Google Osaka airport, you'll see it's a man-made island, and the international flights are landing there because it's not busy at the moment because of COVID. They're just fantastic. And those poles, about 5,000 US each, and as I said before we threw to the story, they conduct electricity because they're carbon, because they're, I think, Kevlar, fiberglass, that sort of thing. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but in Japan it's the same as Australia. It's not about fishing gear, it's how big your pole is. And I know you think I'm being funny, but it's all about how big your pole is and how much it cost. Hanno, stop laughing. Okay. Now we've got Ryan Lee. Thanks, Ryan. We've got the Fishing Mafia. Look, I appreciate your bloke's offer, Fishing Mafia, but I'm all right at the moment, thank you. I know that you fix problems and you like Mick Gatto, you just negotiate a little bit, but everything's all right. Now, you can't be fair to him. This is Fred Bloggs. Fred Bloggs. Oh, yeah, it's Fred Bloggs, all right. Did you ever play alongside Big Carl Dittrich during your time at St Kilda? Only 58 games with the Shadow. Fred Bloggs. Who is it? Now, this can't be fair. It's Steve Jobs, also nicknamed the Head. Keep up the good work. I thought Steve Jobs passed away with 400 million or 400 billion. Jinder Tackle, the Fishing Mafia. Ryan Lee. There's a man with two Christian names. Got 8 fishing lures. I've got about 8,000 of them. Shroom. It's like a Victor lawnmower. Hanno at New G. Brendan Valla. Why didn't we see you fishing like that, Rex? You idiot, Brenda. Jason McNamara. Awesome show. Well, tell us something we know. Steve Jobs. Shout out for Anthony Legg. He's my son. Anthony Legg. The boss. All right, now, what have we got here? It's there. We've got... Okay, it's time to go back to Japan. And welcome if you've just joined us, and we do salute all of the people in Australia and New Zealand who, I know there's unfortunately not a lot of people still alive from the Second World War, but the Vietnam veterans, you're still going. And one of the most moving times for me was a few years ago, I broadcast the first Australian Football League game for match points outside of Australian mainland. It was at Wellington, a very, very windy city. It was, I think, if you could check it, Bob or Daniel, the game was between the Sydney Swans and, I think, St Kilda, but it's the first AFL game on Anzac Day at Wellington on the North Island of St Kilda, North Island of New Zealand. Just magnificent. And I was there at the New Zealand War Memorial at Wellington at 6 o'clock at dawn, and I saw so many people break down because the brigadier, who just a very, very important army man, announced that leading the Anzac March at 6:15 down to the main street near the wharf at Wellington were all of the Vietnam veterans and their families. I rang my dear friend Huey, who hasn't, he's been a just magnificent friend when I haven't been 100%, but what he went through was just absolute hell. Lost blokes, and was in one of the big, was that war or something over there, the War of Long Tan or whatever it was. But anyhow, cut a long story short, I rang Huey and he broke down because the Vietnam veterans finally were recognised. And if you've got a Vietnam veteran, give him or her a hug. It's enough of that. We're going back to Japan. Bob's got his finger on the play button. Didn't even know I had this because I don't, without Bob and Daniel, I'd be nothing because they've talked me into doing this. I should be at home under the blanket at the minute. But anyhow, Steve Starling, who's been magnificent on and off the show, is fishing for a fish called a hera. I think it's a member of the carp family, but if you Google it, H, not H, H-E-R-A, it looks very similar to some of my female breeding goldfish. But over in Japan, Yibbida Yibbida, they love fishing for them.
It's always a really exciting thing to go fishing for a brand new species that you've never seen or caught before, and that's exactly what I'm doing today. I've come about an hour out of the Japanese city of Osaka into a rice growing area with lots of ponds, and Mr. Shimamura here is going to teach me how to catch hera, which are a very popular fish here in Japan. Mr. Shimamura is a hera fishing specialist, known as a meijin in the Japanese language, and he knows all about it. Apparently the most important thing of all is mixing the bait the right way, and that's what we're going to do first. The bait for hera is a cereal-based pudding or dough mixture, and Mr. Shimamura is making this for me at the moment, showing me how it's done. And apparently the secret lies in adding just the right amount of water to the mixture, and also I believe that there are some secret ingredients that go into some of these baits. Go ahead, Mr. Shimamura. He's adding a couple of different varieties of his cereal mixture here. These packets of bait are available from tackle stores all over Japan. 1 cup of water. In it goes. And he mixes it through with his hand. You know, the magic thing about this bait is that it's both a bait and a burley combined, and I understand that once the mixture is exactly right, it bleeds off in the water and diffuses and actually acts as its own burley trail. But getting that consistency right is one of the things that marks a true master. Right, now, Mr. Shimamura is asking me to pick some up and make a ball out of it, squeeze it, and then drop it in the water. Now he's telling me that it's floating, which is not good. It shouldn't float. I didn't squeeze enough air out of it, so I try again, and I really squeeze it tightly this time. Work it with my fingers to exclude all the air from it. This is just like fishing for mullet back home with dough. We used to do this. Make sure you get all the air bubbles out of it, then drop it in, and it sinks. Okay. And it doesn't diffuse until it gets to the level where the fish are. Thank you. He's now telling me that we have enough bait here to fish for hera for 1 hour, so hopefully that'll be enough time to make a catch. This is incredibly delicate tackle. Oh, I missed that one. Look, the float is just so delicately balanced and it's extremely light line. No reel, as you can see, just a pole. And these were traditionally made from bamboo. Now they're made from carbon fibre, graphite, fiberglass, or combinations, and some of the traditional ones are still made from bamboo. They're worth a lot of money. They'll pay up to $800 Australian for one of these very simple rods. And everything associated with hera fishing seems to be quite expensive. They've got these beautifully handmade wooden rod rests here that I understand cost up to $600 or $700 Australian. And it's all to do with the tradition of this fantastic sport of fishing for hera fishing. Okay, let's see if I can come up tight on one this time. Oh. I can see them out there. Yeah, got him. Oh, that's great. Oh, look, he's trying to get back in underneath the jetty, back into the shadows. Doesn't look like a real big one, but it's my first hera nonetheless, and the first of a new species. I'll just swim it round the rod rest here. Look at that. Beautiful little fish, actually. Oh, he's only just hooked. Thank you, Mr. Shimamura. Look at that. And you can see that he's in the carp family. Single dorsal fin there on the back, large scales, and the typical carp mouth, soft with no teeth. Now the hook's already dropped out, so he's ready to be returned to the water. This is a total catch and release fishery. All these fish go back in, which is great to see. So this bloke can go back and join the other members of his school. Now I want to catch a big one. Well, I've been watching Mr. Shimamura and I've been sharpening my technique, and I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of this. This feels like it might be my hera of the day. It really is fighting hard. I've swapped over to a lighter rod too. This is a more traditional style bamboo rod, and it's just fantastic fun. Oh. Well, I tell you what, I think the reason this guy's fighting so hard is he's foul hooked. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. He's foul hooked. That's why he was such a handful. Now, the great thing about this herrer fishing too is that it only costs about $3 or $4 a day to fish in one of these impoundments. So once you've bought your tackle and set yourself up, it's not a particularly expensive sport. The bait's quite affordable too. They're solid little fish. I'll just snick that hook out of him. I think what happened was he was munching on the other hook, and I've struck and picked him up on the rear hook. And there he is. Beautiful little fish. Well, I always said that I'll fish anywhere and for anything, and now I've caught Hira in a pond here about an hour out of Osaka. It's another feather I can put in my piscatorial cap. It's great to catch a new species, and especially in good surroundings and with good company. This has been really good fun.
Just getting Daniel to put up what's called an auto cue. That's not the near cue, it's the cue, Hanno, furthest over there, the furthest away cue. I love you people, just fantastic. And Fishing Mafia, no, I don't need any negotiating. That was magnificent. Up around the Nagara River area, I forget the name of the town, it was just typical Japan, people going about their business, no road rage, cormorant fishing, and we'll have a look at that, you know, in the weeks to come. But when 3RW here in Melbourne decided to go with Brian Taylor and gave me the flick, Craig Hutchison, who's a big media person here in Australia, I mean big in more ways than one, you wouldn't want Hutchie to break wind on your last pound of flour. But he's been okay, oh, well, sort of. But he took me across to America to a function that's called Gday LA. And it's Australians that go over there, and I was using the men's room, and Russell Crowe came in, and I'd only seen him on the Gladiator, and he said, "I like your show." And I said, "Well, thanks very much. Can you point the other way?" I said, "I've got a wet foot." But anyhow, that's another story. I went out to lunch with Alan Johnson, who used to run the Commodore series of hotels on the east coast of Australia, and he's got Alan Johnson's, someone will know it, it's a beautiful hotel where Australians stay in Los Angeles. And Hutchie and I went to lunch, I don't know whether you recognise the name, with a bloke called Buzz Aldrin. He was part of the magnificent the bloke that played golf was Armstrong. I'm not quite so sure, Daniel, whether Aldrin actually walked on the moon, but I know that, did he? He did, fair enough. So Buzz was the second bloke to walk on the moon. And on a serious note, and even our viewers right through Japan will know how smart, you know, the Japs are. Because from the moon, the most vegetated piece of land on Earth is on the Nagara River. So the Japanese have been absolutely brilliant in utilising everyone else's, natural resources or what natural, when they use natural things to pick. But they've absolutely remained absolutely sticklers for conservation right up there. So that'll be interesting to get the reaction from that. Now, before we go to Steve Starling, I can tell you now, it's great to have these people tuned in and on board. Pin message, welcome, report, remove, put user in timeout. These are all strange names, but I recognise this one. Hide user on this channel and add moderator. So welcome to all of you, they're all new to me. Jinder Tackles there. Shroom! Ha ha! There was an ad with Victor Motormels, wasn't there, Bob, with Room Room? No, I think that was Mazda. Hanno, have you got any worms? Because those tiger worms are no good. You got any worms? That reminds me of the army. Steve Jobs. Shout out to Anthony Legg. We've done that. Booney's fishing. Got about the show. What are you watching the footy for? Essendon were very good. Go Bombers. Yeah, Bernie. Okay. Brendan Bella. Love watching. Well, we know that. Steve Jobs. Thanks, Rex. Mate, you're a legend. I know that, Steve. And looks like good fun. And Hanno, and you want to become a friend on Facebook and on the Instagram and Face Job or whatever it's called, Facebook. Hanno at New G, is it Bush Goods? He is magnificent. Has he made a mark down there? Because he actually does something that is lacking in the world now. When he sells you something, he gives a bit of service. Okay, time to go back to Japan with Steve Starling. I think the big forward move has got to be aquaculture. We can't keep dragging wild stocks of fish, particularly out of the salt water. We've got a problem here in Australia, and I won't mention his name in Parliament, but I'll just give you his initials. Richard Colbert. He was a two-faced bloke that didn't back the super trawler and then backed the super trawler. And Mr. Colbert, I know you're a member of Parliament, but if you were fishing for a living, you'd be sleeping on the beach. We're going to go back to Japan now with Steve Starling. Aquaculture. Have a look how the Japanese do it.
When it comes to aquaculture or fish farming, the Japanese are the acknowledged world leaders. They've been doing it longer and better than any other country on earth. And here at Shirahama, halfway between Osaka and Tokyo, is one of the world's leading aquaculture research centres. This place has been operating for almost 50 years now, and they pulled off some amazing feats here. Although Kinki University doesn't primarily run its aquaculture centre as a commercial venture, it does sell some of its fish to help cover the enormous costs of research. In fact, live fish are trucked from here to the Osaka markets almost every day. To make this 4 or 5 hour road trip, the fish are packed into these perforated crates, separated from each other by stiff sheets of plastic, and then loaded into a huge fish tanker full of aerated salt water. For example, they've been able to breed these beautiful big amberjacks here in captivity and grow them to this kind of size. This fish would have to be 5 or 6 kilos. It's an absolute beauty and ready to go off to market. I better get him back in the water. One of the other fantastic things they've been able to do here is breed these beautiful snapper in captivity and grow them to this size in just 3 or 4 years. A fish in the wild, even back in Australia, would take at least 5 or 6 years to reach this size. These are beautiful looking snapper and they're very marketable. They're going to be worth a lot of money when they reach Osaka, I tell you. The other thing they've been able to do is crossbreed or hybridise fish. For example, they've been able to cross snapper like this with a fish that's almost identical to our brim. What they're looking for are optimum growth rates, good flavour, good appearance and marketability. They've also been able to crossbreed things like amberjack and yellowtail kingfish. Again, they're looking for that marketable combination of flavour, appearance, size and growth rates. I tell you what, they're really onto a winner. Believe it or not, I'm holding an entire school of bluefin tuna in my hand. The tiny specks swimming around in this beaker are tuna that are only a couple of days old, and believe it or not, every one of those fish could ultimately grow into a 200 or 300 kilo giant. And that's got to be one of the most amazing achievements of all here at Kinki University, that they've been able to breed gigantic pelagic fish like bluefin tuna in captivity and study the very early phases of their growth. Tuna were first bred in captivity here at Shirahama during the 1970s. In those early days, keeping the fish alive for more than a week or two after hatching proved impossible. But gradually the technology improved until big tuna could be grown out, fed and reared to several years of age before being harvested for the market. This is a phenomenal achievement, especially in light of the many difficulties involved, and it speaks volumes for the skill of the scientists and technicians here at Shirahama. Captive breeding programs like this may eventually help to relieve pressure on wild ocean stocks of fish throughout the world. In the meantime, they're helping us to learn a great deal more about the early life history of some of the biggest and most interesting pelagic fish in the sea. But to me, one of the most surprising things to find here at the Aquaculture Research Centre was a tank just seething with these nasty little critters. This is a stonefish, and on its back are 13 spines loaded with deadly toxin. Now, believe it or not, these are a delicacy here in Japan. They carefully cut the spines out of their back and serve them in the top sashimi restaurants. I don't think there's too much here that they don't eat. If it crawls or swims in the sea, they'll eat it. And really, to be serious for a moment, that's what this aquaculture is all about. People like the Japanese consume a hell of a lot of seafood from right around the world, and unless they start working out ways to actually breed it themselves, there's no way that we're going to be able to sustain wild populations. Aquaculture has got to be the way of the future.
Oh, we're back. Marco, good evening to you, my friend. I just don't know whether you can actually relate to this, but I think I know all of you, and yet I wouldn't know you from a bar of soap, but welcome aboard. Fishing Mafia, go Bombers. New G Bush Goods, nice looking snapper. Now, got a problem. Before I go to that with Gender Tackle, it's a ultra disinfectant surface spray, because you've got to have all this crap these days, you know. I ate 51 snails before I went to kindergarten. I'd had growing potatoes under my fingernails, and I haven't had anything more than, I had something in the army that I don't want to tell you about. Listen to this. I've asked this on my radio program on 3AW in Melbourne, my Rex Hunts Footy Nightline. This kills 99.9% of germs. And so does this. The Dettol soft on skin, which the Dettol, remember you said put a bit of Dettol on the scab and that sort of thing? Kills 99.9% of germs. There's someone out there, Jinder, Fishing Mafia, Hanno. I'm absolutely rapt that it kills 99.9% of the germs. The problem I've got is what's the 0.1 it doesn't kill? And I'm serious. That obviously is just to cover them in a court of law, but is it the COVID-19 or 18, or when I'm gone 20 years there'll be COVID-27, all that sort of crap, but what's the 0.1% that it doesn't kill? Kills 99.1% of germs. Now, love watching you sent it soon. Now here's Gender Tackle. Thought about TikTok, Rex. All the kids are doing it. Well, I have no idea what you're talking about, Jinder. But all I can think about is Tic Tacs, those little white lollies in the thing to take away your bad breath when you used to kiss your Sheila. But I don't mind Kit Kats. I got sprung the other day in the glove box with some Redskins, which have been banned. Well, they haven't been banned. The name and the Chicos, they've been banned. Goodness, why haven't they banned a Black Knight? Who knows? Because the idiots that think of all this stuff, they're not smart enough. And when will I stop it? When I go to the Tobin Brothers, because I'm not going to change. Here we go. Back to Japan. Giving them a fair old run. The Japanese, Steve Starling again. This is an aquarium. Oh, the hip's going well. This is an aquarium in Japan. It is one of the most magnificent aquariums in the world. And it has in captivity the only whale shark that has survived, and they have done it. It's a wonderful aquarium, open to the public and closed every now and again for research. And I can relate to this, particularly with a Vindaloo. At the Indian restaurant, I had a very strong Vindaloo. It's called the Ring of Fire.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've had a real thing about aquariums. I can happily spend hours with my nose pressed up against the glass watching fish swim around. And when I told people that I was coming to Osaka, they said, you've got to go to the Ring of Fire Aquarium. It's called the Ring of Fire because it draws its exhibits from all over the Pacific Basin, which is still bounded by a ring of active volcanoes. It's a terrific name, and it must be a pretty good aquarium, because since they opened in 1990, almost 20 million people have gone through the gates. That's more than the entire population of Australia. So there's obviously something worth looking at in here. I here there's everything from barramundi to bonefish, tuna, sharks of all kinds, big stingrays, and there's also something very big and very spectacular that you won't see anywhere else. But I'm going to keep that a secret for a while. Come inside and let's have a look at the Ring of Fire aquarium. To view the various displays of the Ring of Fire or Kaiyukan aquarium, it's necessary to take a lift or climb stairs to the top of this huge building. Here you enter a whole new world through a fantastic recreation of pine forests and subterranean caverns, complete with their various native inhabitants. After entering the building, a spiral walkway takes you downwards into the bowels of the aquarium itself, past a series of tanks representing different environments from the edge of the vast Pacific Rim. One of the really neat things about this Ring of Fire aquarium is the way that they've been able to recreate aquatic environments from right around the Pacific Basin. This, for example, is an Amazon rainforest environment recreated here in this tank, and there are species of fish in here that you wouldn't see anywhere else outside the Amazon River. Of particular interest to me as a fisherman are the giant arapama and their smaller cousins, the arowana. Now, Australian fishermen will probably notice an uncanny resemblance to the Saratoga, a popular Australian species, and there's a good reason for that. These fish are closely related, but they're a lot bigger. The arapama grows to 6 or 7 feet in length and can weigh 600 pounds, and it'll eat small monkeys if they fall out of the trees into the Amazon River. These ones aren't quite that big, but they're pretty hefty fish. I've always wanted to see one of these in the flesh, and here they are. These smaller tanks with their individual regional habitats encircle the 9-metre deep main tank. Each one represents a particular environment, ranging from the Antarctic with its penguins to a fantastic recreation of a deep drop-off from our very own Great Barrier Reef. The massive main tank holds an incredible 5,400 tonnes of filtered seawater, which is maintained at a constant temperature of 23 degrees Celsius. It represents the central basin of the Pacific Ocean itself, and it's home to an incredible cross-section of life from that rich sea, including pelagic and demersal species that I've never seen in captivity before. But without a doubt, the single greatest attraction at the Ring of Fire aquarium is this guy, a whale shark. And this is the only place in the world where you'll see a whale shark in captivity. These things are the biggest fish on Earth, and to be able to keep one in a tank is quite an achievement. As an aquarium junkie, this is about the ultimate buzz. The whale shark is fed every day with scoops of tiny krill, a shrimp-like creature which forms a vital part of the Pacific's intricate food chain. Deeper down in the main tank, there are all sorts of fascinating fish, including whaler sharks, rainbow runners, bonito, mackerel tuna, trevally of many different types, groper, and even a couple of big bonefish, which really got my casting arm quivering. From the kelp forests of California to the jungle rivers of South America, our own Great Barrier Reef, and these fantastic sardine schools from Chile. It's all here. They've managed to capture the aquatic environments from a vast range of areas right around the world in one building. I tell you what, if you ever come to Osaka in Japan, you'd be crazy to miss the Ring of Fire aquarium.
Well, we missed out in the last at Mildura. The favourite ran second, but anyhow, tomorrow's another day. Welcome back. You're still here? Well, it's just lovely. Tic Tac, whatever it is, nice looking snapper. Stevie Jobs. It's not the Steve Jobs, is it? The head. Ever tried stonefish? Well, as a matter of fact, Steve, this is going to absolutely rock your socks. I have tried stonefish, and I didn't like it much. I found it just a similar taste to koala and goanna and platypus. So Anyhow, if you're hungry, you eat anything. Favourite fish to eat. Ever tried stonefish? Gender, you're right. 99.9% is to cover their butts because if someone gets COVID or another disease, they can. Nuji, amazing aquarium, the Ring of Fire. I think Johnny Cash. No, that was Great Balls of Fire when he was in the Holson or Tolson prison. Bob, the Tolson prison. So here we go. We're just about to go into 1996, and in 1996. I thought I was in police custody for having an argument with a cyclist, but no, I wasn't. It was after that. Hanno, you said that was amazing, the aquarium. It was fantastic, but mate, that's the good news. The bad news, with your head, I don't think you'll leave Melbourne because once the customs get hold of your dial, mate, you won't get out of Australia. But if you get there, go and see the Ring of Fire aquarium. The big long fish behind Stephen is called an arapaima. And Johnny Pierce off over there in Thailand at the, what's fish park it's called, Bob? Exotic Fish Park with the Englishman. Never forget what's his name. Mike Bailey. They're there, introduced. You would have seen a Saratoga with the bent lip, and that's for catching insects in the wild. And they're native to the north of Australia and everywhere else in the tropics. And the other one was two monkeyfish. How many of you out there would remember the American Express ads on television with Carl Malden and the streets of San Francisco, and Mr. Wong is leading the blokes and he's standing on the corner of 25th and 29th Street in New York. You all know where that is. I don't, because I just made it up. And the bloke came over and said, Mr. Wong, two monkeys stole my traveller's checks. Oh, he said, what kind are they? He said, brown ones with the red backsides. Anyhow, they all got red backsides, including myself. We're going now to the best of 1996, and Daniel will now start to scroll down with El Questro. Will and Celia Burrell were fantastic. He said, I said, oh, a beautiful Barra Rex. He's dancing for you. He's dancing for you. And you blokes out there wouldn't understand what dancing means. It says, you know, dancing. Okay, so that's El Questro. I think we went down the Gibb River Road, didn't we, Bob? Just magnificent. And Bushy and I fish for trout, and I'll be doing that this week because the Goldman's just about absolutely like me. It's kaput because of the irrigation. David Strasman, he didn't get his start on our show, but he's the ventriloquist with Chuck Wood, one of the dirtiest blokes you've ever heard, and just magnificent. But we go with him, and Cole Roberts, who used to be, he might still be a judge in Western Australia, and didn't he fix them up? And that's what we want, a judge to put blokes and just teach them a lesson. And then I, as usual, get sharked because I catch a black jewfish, and that's the name of it. It's a black jewfish, and I think that's just about it. Correct weight on the last at Mildura. Roll the tape, Bob.
Jesus, hook up! Got it! Got a Barra Rex!
Are you sure, Will?
Yep, good fish, good fish. Very nice fish. Very nice fish.
Are you sure, Will?
He's got a nice dance. Back on him! Look at him dance. He's dancing for us, Rex.
Well, he's dancing back where I come from. There
He's
goes my
got
rod.
a hook up as well! Fantastic! Oh, God, it's just going off.
Will, settle down. We don't want a heart attack victim here. Now, that was incredible, folks, because I had that lure out. I was just watching Will catch a fish, and I've got a caddy. So, very nice fish, Will. Look at that for a beautiful barramundi.
Nice little comfort left there. Oh, I'm getting in the water. Fantastic. That's not a bad barra.
Well, Bushy, it's -3 degrees. What about going for a dip?
Well, looks like we might have to.
Folks, you've got to understand, this is summer, but it's -3 degrees this morning. My fingers are like, well, you know what. And there's Bushy. Have a look at him. He's a marvellous man. I tell you what, we've got the radio mic off him, and he is desperate to get this fish that he's taken his rod at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Now, that is very keen, folks. I'm telling you, there's snow on them there hills, and it's absolutely freezing. You are an idiot. How are you going? Look at that.
Oh, that's my go. Woo! Look at that. Aussies like my puppets, and I don't know why, but they really love Chuck Wood.
Yeah.
I almost got a bite there.
Did you? Well, that's all right.
Not.
I call him Chuck over the side of the boat. I tell you what, I have never, ever been so humiliated by a bloke like that. A bit of wax on the end
Rex,
of the...
he's just a dummy.
Yeah, but I tell you what, you got me in, mate. I tell you what, I reckon I'm pretty smart and I get up with the worms. But I tell you what, he had me in.
Hey, who's that bald-headed guy over there? Take your hat off. Let me see the shine.
You have got to be joking.
No.
You have got to be
Chuck,
joking.
what is he doing here?
How did you get here?
Look, I told you, when I go fishing, it's alone. I don't want to have any company.
Hey, Rex, what's that yibbida mean?
Yibbida yibbida, you idiot. And it means that is all, folks. And if you don't shut your trap, you'll end up in the drink.
What are you, Fred
Smarty.
Flintstone?
Stop it, Chuck. Quiet.
You look like Fred.
I don't know what you
bit
look like.
fatter.
Just butt out of it, will you? I'm fishing with your mate. Get that hook on.
Yeah, I get it here.
Hey, what's that brown thing between your legs, Rex?
That brown thing happens to be my dog, Missy, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't want him to think on the tree.
Him is a she, and she doesn't use a tree.
Yeah, well, she might think, well, she might take a lee on me.
I
Chuck.
wish you'd take a big wee, a bucketful, and throw you in the drink.
Hey, Rex, how do you like my fishing rod?
What does he have there? What kind of rod is that?
Well, that is a Rex Hunt Jr. outfit from Kmart. Well,
No way, he's got one of your rods?
yeah, well, at least you're in my good books, mate. At least you've gone out and bought a fishing rod to support my family.
Hey, Rex, I nicked it.
You what?
I stole it.
You stole a fishing rod. You're that small they probably couldn't catch you. I hope you only stole one.
Yeah, you better hope. I got 16 dozen at home.
16 dozen. Chuck. No wonder the sales have been very good.
Yeah, I nicked those too.
Can't believe I'm talking to a dummy.
Well, how do you know I feel?
He's quick.
Just give him a little bit of a rest. Just work him so that the water goes through his gills.
Yeah. And the hook you've left in him, he should be
I've
able
left
to get
the
that.
hook in him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look.
He's swum.
And
Beautiful.
there he goes down there.
Now that is a desperate effort. I'll tell you what.
Congratulations, son. Well, he's won me, Bushy. I'm certainly not going to do it myself. They say this is Rex Hunt Fishing Adventures. It's more like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you
You
idiot.
do have to be crazy.
He is.
Well, this is unbelievable. I've got drowned, but you have to have a shot at it when you've got something on there. I don't like to see it get away, as you can see. And now I can show you a little known technique that's not commonly practiced by anglers for emptying waders. It's a terrific technique for the snowy mountains when it's about 2 degrees.
I tell you what, Your Honour, you didn't say it was going to be like this. Physical exertion.
Well,
On you go, sir.
swap your spots if you like. Under under.
Good on you, sir. Well, thanks a lot. Oh, come on. Lifting and one. I tell you, I'm surprised we haven't been shark fixed up here. We haven't got a shark job. Oh.
Got colour, Rex.
Yeah, I got colour too. It's red.
Got your hands.
Oh, me face. I tell you what, this is woofer valve material here, mate.
Oh, nice GT.
How about, what do you reckon he'll weigh?
15, 18 pound.
Gee whiz. What have we got here, sir? Have his mate, do you think?
Absolutely.
I tell you what, it's tough on man and tackle. Look at the sharks!
No, look! Bad luck, old son.
Now, folks, I've never caught one of these before. This is a backless, stomachless giant trevally, the Razor Gang. And listen, kids, don't get too upset because this is the law of the jungle, the law of the piscatorial kingdom. Eat or be eaten. And you've got to be careful up here. There's no swimming because you might end up crocodile droppings.
Oh, we go, another shark.
Another shark, sir? We might give him a bit of a feed. Going right down. Look at this. Take a shot of my producer. Get up. You don't have to be on your hands and knees for Rexy. That's my producer. Now you can see, folks, why Michael's never on the show.
And that's his brother, the sound man. Have a look at him. The nose is running the family. Unbelievable. Good on you, Jackie. Tell you what, warts and all, that's what it's all about, folks. We might be rough, but we have a bit of fun. And I can see you chuckling back there in your living room. I'm going up again to Tony. Tony, Tony, Tony. Up, up. Gee whiz. And I'm going down here and Harry's getting cross. Oh, I tell you what, folks, this is just sensational. Just sensational. La da da. I think we might pull that one in, Jeff. Well, just pull it off, son. Jeff, my microphone's there. Speak into it, son.
What do you want me to say, Rex?
How much are you getting, son?
Not enough, Rex.
No, but how much are you getting for wearing that hat? It's very nice, mate. Did Bushman give you that one?
No.
Looks like you've been walking through a flock of pigeons, mate.
Lovely hat, isn't it?
Seagulls. I tell you what, we've got a decent sort of a fish on here, folks. He won't be far. Oh, look! Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Rexy boy has done it again. Well, this is a great moment for me because this is a black jewfish. Just absolutely magnificent. Let me pat you, son. This is one of the great fish of the sea. One of the great fish of the sea. And what I can do is lift him up there for you, folks.
Just amazing. Black jewfish. Very special to me. The night prior to that, in 1996, my dear mother, Ivy Mae Hunt, passed away in her sleep, and I dedicate that particular fish to her. Good-looking fish, and you see Jeff Corrie there, who used to take the Barra boys when we were all together, and before Robbie Kerr died. He was magnificent with Jason, who's changed his name up there in Darwin, whatever it is, some silly name. Jason Rogers has changed his name anyhow. You idiot, Jason. And but Jeff Corrie actually busted off a black Jew fish, a little bit smaller than that, so that Harry could get the shot of that. So here we go. Amazing aquarium. Brendan Vella. What's the best moment in my fishing career, Brendan? Well, without a doubt, if you've watched the movie with Tom Hanks, when he was washed up on an island after he went down. It's not a great expression, is it? Well, for some of us it is. It went down on an FedEx, was it, flight in the middle of the ocean? What was the name of the show? Castaway. Thank you. You read my lips, no bush. You didn't see him move. So, the best news is Brendan. I was out in the middle of Bass Strait, and there's an island between, or it's in the Furneaux group, between Flinders and the point of Wilson's Promontory, and I was washed up on a small island there on my own, like an idiot, before life jackets were compulsory. And I was walking around the island to see how big it was. Now am I going to get off it? And this magnificent looking lady came round the corner, and she actually too was just wonderful. She said, "Do you want to play around?" I said, "What, do you got, a set of golf clubs?" And that's the best moment in my career, Brendan. So the turtle, Yibbida Yibbida Yibbida, you idiot turtle. I've got a story about the turtleneck soup when Gladstone Small and the English cricketers went up to the Imperial Palace at Brisbane, but I'll tell you that on the last day I'm on air. That guy is funny. That is David Strasman. Google him, go and see him, he's magnificent. Sean Delphin, could you please give my love veteran Jeff Delphin a ribbita. So Jeff, yibbida yibbida, that's not all, folks. And Sad Monday, still got those fat-filled pliers from Kmart. Kmart, just absolutely magnificent. When I got into a bit of trouble in about, what year was it, Bob? 2005 or something like that, like my own fault, and Kmart said, "Oh, we don't want to go ahead with you anymore." They said, "No one will know you." Still got the Rex Hunt fat-filled pliers. Okay, are we going to wrap it up now? We're going to say goodnight, are we? One more story, says Bob. I thought he was ordering one hamburger and one with sauce, so good on you, Bob. One more story. So this is the best of 1996 part 2. 99.9% of germs. All right, there's that one. It's irrigated, Bob. And 99.9%... look at that. That was in Bob's dressing room. We'll leave it at that. The last part of the 1996 special. Bob's gone red as he presses the button.
Look at him. You got your friend there, Steve.
Yeah, he wants this jack, I think.
Tell you what, look at him coming in on a...
He's not going to have it.
Hey, mate. Now listen, this is Rex Hunt Creek. This is not Crocodile Dundee Creek.
Excuse me.
Have a look at him.
Oh, he's going for the... What's that?
Oh, no, he's going for the jack. Oh, the jack's swimming hard to get away from him. Don't they go hard in this current?
Good size jack too.
Yeah. So, one more for the barbie.
Oh, I think so.
I don't like putting my hands in here very much.
Cook gave us strict instructions to bring home some jacks.
Okay, well, there's one. Nice mangrove jack on the new Rapala Husky Jerk. A plastic-bodied Rapala. They're famous for their timber lures, but they also make beautiful plastic lures with rattles. And I tell you what, it's been working really well, especially in that blue metallic finish. What a great-looking fish. Watch your feet there, Rex.
Let's get a look at him here, H. Here he is, going on the other side. I see him in the water there.
Oh, nice shark.
Oh,
He saw you. He didn't like your moustache. Bushy, it's not a shark! It's a barracuda!
oh, look at the size of it. That's the biggest cooter I've ever seen. Have a look at it.
It is a barracuda at Rex's Cay. And you want me to help you out?
You can help me there, Rex.
Have a look at the size of this! Have a look at this! How good is that? Woo!
That is a
Thank your
monster.
mother
Don't
for
really
the
bite you, Rex.
barracuda!
Cooter from hell.
Have a look at that! And it's broken.
He's broken. So
Look!
man,
Is that?
on a 4-piece 9
You
weight, that is
stay
a big
away!
fish.
Don't let that man on camera. Steve Starling's fishing world is not on. But me and my mate Kay Bush's Fishing Australia, get away from there. No shaking it. We don't want you. Have a look at that.
That is an awesome cooter.
Have a look at the cooter from hell.
Tell you what, he didn't leave much of my fly, Rex. That is a fairly big fish.
No wonder he was a little bit aggro.
Oh, what a fish. Well, wagons?
Wagons, ho! Oh, we do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, we do like to be beside the sea.
You got a fish on there.
Oh!
I think he's just got off.
He's dropped it. How dare he on national television?
He's there. He's still there?
He is too. Oh. Unbelievable. This is the first Rotorua trout that I've hooked into. And he took this gear. Well, back home we'd say this is a snapper outfit. But I tell you what, it certainly does the job. We've got very, very heavy lead line, which takes us down to where the fish are. Here we come here now. A beautiful rainbow trout. Have a look at that. Oh, didn't he absolutely nail it? He's in fine condition too.
Look at that nice fish. A really nice fish. Look at that, Rick.
Oh yeah, how about that?
Look at that. Look at that.
Well, that's my first fish here in New Zealand. Isn't that absolutely magnificent? Oh, thank you, mother, for the rabbits. Oh, this is Rexy on location, no relation. Oh, we do like to be beside the seaside. Ah. Oh, another little shark, I think. Another little toothy. Another little toothy woothy. Oh, he's making a run up there. Oh, I think he's coming. Did I tell you what? Look at this. Oh, there must be just absolutely hundreds of them here, Warren.
Yeah, I think you're right,
Absolutely hundreds. Oh. You know what? One of the great things about being a guide, you know what one of the great things is?
I get to let the sharks go.
No, you get to take them off the hook. I'm going for a cup of tea.
Thanks, Rex.
So how about that? Well, it's just about a wrap and see Yibbida Yibbida. Gee, I've got a lot of the regulars here, but some new people. Here's one I don't recognise. Is Laura Chamberlain, or Chamberlain, or Chamberlain, I think. My son Patrick wants to say hello. G'day, Patrick. He's in grade 6. Now, whatever Mum says about me, young man, it's not true. But your mum and dad, if they're not your best friends, you're not on the right track, because when you're in trouble, mum and dad are always there for you. That's why we become mum and dads, and that's why I like kids, because I like kids because I used to go to school with them now. Laura wants to say, Patrick is in grade 6 and wants to know if you're good at fly fishing. Well, Patrick, does it matter? I caught my first fish on a fly in, I don't think even your grandmother would remember this, in 1964 at the Akron River at Narberthong, just north of Hillsville, on my birthday, March 7, 1963, and it was just a tiny brown trout. And not tomorrow, but the next day, Tuesday, the, what do they call them, Bob? The isobars, is it, on the weather map? They're coming together. And I'm going up to the Goulburn River because they're going to switch it off because the irrigation season, Laura, is starting to come to an end because, you know, it's a bit moist now. And young man, I'm going to fish specifically for wild rainbow trout, and I'll get them all right. But am I a good, well, I'm not a good fly fisherman, but I make those people who think they're good fly fishermen just take a bit of notice. So all the best to you, and have fun. And the other thing, here we go. The other thing, Laura, I don't know whether you followed me at all, but I just say, the Master's Apprentices back in the 70s had a fantastic hit entitled "It's Because I Love You," Laura. I want you, not you, Laura. "It's Because I Love You." If you Google that and play it to Patrick and go to the chorus, it's do what you want to do and be what you want to be, yeah. So, good to see you, Patrick, and your mum, Laura, and that means a lot to me. Do I always act only when I'm well? And let's just leave it at that. I only carry on like this when I'm well. So that's just about a wrap. But before I go, if you want to check me out on Cameo, and I'm not hanging out for this, but if you want a special cheerio to somebody who's not well or someone who wants a laugh on Cameo, the last thing I will be doing is swearing and making a fool of myself. So there's a serious side to me, because I've been here, everyone's going to make a quid out of making fishing and footy fun. Well, they just haven't got there yet. And young Patrick, I still know you're there with your mum. If you want to know something, ask mum or dad, or ask your grandparents, because old people have been there and made the mistakes that you don't have to make. So there's birthday messages, giving fishing tips, advice, talking footy, having your old man taking a mark for Berrowillick in the last few minutes of the North Central League. If you want a bit more personalised video, you can contact me on this email address. If you've got a pen, just write it down. It's rex@rex.nfg.nfi. That's right, rex@rex.nfg.nfi. And that's just about a wrap from me. And who knows, I might be back very, very soon in the next few weeks, unless someone assassinates me, and that's every possibility in this troubled and twisted world that we've got. But on a sober note, we celebrate today the people that made the supreme sacrifice, the people that survived and continued on with the next generation and the next generation and the next generation, you know, like Patrick. Lest we forget, thank you to my mum and dad for being just magnificent, and their love was unconditional. And my old man, I can still see as if it's clear as yesterday, standing at the Anzac Memorial at the end of Parkers Road, Parkdale and Beach Road. And as the sun came up over the top of the Parkdale Life-Saving Club and then shone along the beach towards the Parkdale Yacht Club, which they've just renovated, magnificent. I remember the stories that my old man told me. And on a very, very serious note, I never want to see anybody in the world go through what those men and women did in those 2 wars and every other horrible word, because war is like fighting. What's the use? I'll catch you somewhere in the wonderful world of fishing soon. I'm Rex Hunt, and stay safe.